You're doing fantastic, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're doing fantastic.
Thank you.
And it appears, it very much appears that you will be the nominee. And it just looks like 99% sure you'll be the nominee. Bernie says he's going to go all the way to the convention. I don't want to say, how do you feel about that? Because I think I know. But do you think that he should drop out?
No, look, I think he has to do what, he chooses to do. I understand that. I ran all the way to the end against then Senator Obama. And when it was over, because we had a much closer race than the one currently is between Senator Sanders and myself, I withdrew, I endorsed him, and I worked really hard to elect him. And I do believe that, Bernie will do that.
I hope so, because we have to unify. I said this yesterday on the show. It's getting nasty out there, and the hatred has to stop. We have to unify.
I'm so tired of it, Ellen.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of the meanness and the insulting and the finger pointing and the scapegoating. That's just not the way we should be. We ought to be unified, but more than that, we ought to be working together. We ought to show respect toward each other, and we ought to listen to each other. And we can have disagreements. Yeah. That's all part of it, but not the way it's going like right now.
Yeah. Let's talk about Donald Trump.
Yes.
I just recently heard him say that he says he will be good for women. What do you think of that?
Well, I would need a lot more information based on what I hear him say, because he has been very derogatory toward all kinds of women. He has specifically called out women by name, insulted them. He has said that equal pay isn't a real issue. He doesn't seem to, think that we need to do anything to create more jobs and raise incomes. And a lot of women are helping to support their families, or maybe they're the only support. And he actually says wages are too high in America. So I'm sure there is somebody somewhere that he might be good for.
Mm-hmm.
But I think overall, there's just no evidence that he has an understanding of what women's lives are like today.
He's going to be the nominee. I mean, did you ever think that it would get to this point where you're going to be up against Trump?
No. No, and I don't think any of the 16 other Republicans who ran against him ever thought that would happen. Yeah. But you got to give, you've got to give him what he's accomplished. He won the most votes, it appears, and he's going to be the nominee. But I think that once the seriousness of the general election really hits people, he has to start being held accountable. He can't just make these pronouncements, insult people, scapegoat people, call immigrants, murderers and rapists, and insult women and insult people with disabilities, and be so derogatory toward Muslims and everything that he does. I don't think that's the way we want to appear to ourselves or the rest of the world. So I do think as this election goes forward, he's going to have to, be held accountable. And I certainly will do my part to make that happen.
So I think everybody is asking this question because, and I've said it many times, I love your husband. I think he's fantastic. And is it legal for an ex-president to be a vice president?
No.
Are you sure?
Well,
I've never seen anything saying it's illegal.
Well, if you've served 2 terms, it would be hard to do. If you've only served 1 term, I think technically you might be able to, but he served 2 terms.
So he can't be your vice president?
No.
Okay.
Actually, I'm here to interview you.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well,
I mean, think about, I know that you have a lot to contribute.
Right.
And I would make you really be in charge of returning kindness to America, something that you care a lot about.
Okay.
And try to lift people's spirits, give them something to be happy about, because your show every day does that for millions of people. I have an older friend. She's in her late 80s. And she's had lots of bad health in recent years. She watches you every single day. And, we have a group of friends who kind of check in on her. And she said, well, I can't talk yet because Ellen's about to start. I got to hear what Ellen has to say, and it is so meaningful to her. So I think you could do a lot for the country.
Well, thanks. Okay, can I stay here?
Yeah, well, I think.
Okay.
I mean, you know, we would, you know, have to run through the usual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we could
vetting
move the
process.
White House here and I could still do this, that would be great.
Well, maybe you could do it from the White House.
That would be great to do the show from the White House. Why don't I do that?
I think we should do that.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, you probably don't want to accept the offer because, you know, you do have to move to Washington, and it is expected you live in the vice president's house. But you could bring the show.
Oh, so I don't live in the White House?
No.
Oh, no.
But it's a nice house.
No.
Oh, no.
I have a nice house. I'm fine.